Have you ever felt like you're racing against time, but the finish line never appears? Welcome to the age of anxiety, where we have everything at our fingertips except inner peace. But what if I told you the answers to this restlessness have been around for centuries? Not in an app or a scientific article, but in ancient philosophies that have stood the test of time. Get ready, because at this moment we're diving into Stoicism, Buddhism, and Taoism, the true mind hacks of antiquity. Imagine this. You're surrounded by tasks, deadlines, and expectations. Yet, that feeling of unease just won't go away. Sound familiar? We're living in the age of anxiety, a time where, despite all the technological advancements and knowledge, our minds are more restless than ever. But what if I told you practical solutions to this have existed for centuries? Long before modern psychology gave a name to anxiety, philosophies like Stoicism, Buddhism, and Taoism were already teaching us how to deal with it. Now, we're going to explore these traditions and discover practical tools to face anxiety, tools you can start using right now. I know what it's like to feel trapped in a spiral of thoughts, as if the weight of the world is on your shoulders. But know this, there are paths to find calm, even in the midst of chaos. This video isn't just about philosophy, it's about you and how to change your relationship with anxiety. You know that anxiety isn't just a modern problem. Since ancient times, philosophers and spiritual masters have sought answers to human suffering. Although the scene has changed, the questions remain the same. How do we find peace in a world full of uncertainties? As you know that, we'll look at three more important traditions that have revolutionized how we understand the mind and emotions. Stoicism, which teaches us to be present and detached from suffering, and Taoism, which invites us to flow with life instead of fighting against it. Plus, we'll see how these ideas connect with modern practices in positive psychology, showing that ancient wisdom is still incredibly relevant. Anxiety is one of the most common conditions in the world in our time. According to the World Health Organization, more than 260 million people suffer from it. But the good news is, we don't have to face this alone. This video brings the best of ancient philosophies to offer you timeless insights that continue to transform lives. Let's explore how. Before we start, a question. What causes you the most anxiety today? Think about that as we go through this together. Who knows, along the way, you might find the answers you're looking for. As Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic advocates, said, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it, and this you have the power to revoke at any moment." Now that we understand the impact of anxiety on our lives, let's dive into Stoicism and discover why internal control is the key to overcoming external chaos. Ready? Stoicism. Control is within. Did you know that, for the Stoics, anxiety isn't caused by the world, but by how we interpret it? Imagine your mind is like a stage. Thoughts are the actors. You are the director. Who's in charge now? Epictetus, one of the greatest Stoics, said, "It's not events that disturb the minds of men, but the view they take of them." In other words, it's like blaming the rain for getting wet when you forgot your umbrella. Want to know how this applies to your life? Let's go to the technique that can change everything, the dichotomy of control. Stoicism is a practical philosophy created over 2,000 years ago that teaches us how to live with tranquility amid life's challenges. For the Stoics, anxiety arises when we try to control things that are out of our reach. They believe the secret to inner peace is to focus only on what we can control and accept, with serenity, what we cannot. Epictetus, one of the main Stoic philosophers, said, "It's not things that disturb us, but our interpretation of them." This means that events themselves don't cause anxiety. It's how we think about them that creates suffering. Imagine you're stuck in traffic and start worrying about what will happen. "I'll be late. My boss will be mad. My day is ruined." These thoughts, not the traffic itself, are the root of anxiety. Which of these situations is within your control? Is it the traffic or your reaction to being late? Think about it before we continue. But how do you apply this in daily life? A practical tool from the Stoics is the concept of the dichotomy of control. It teaches us to divide our worries into two categories: what we can control and what we can't. For example, if you're anxious before an important presentation, ask yourself, what's within my reach? You can prepare well, review your content, and rest the night before. That's under your control. The audience's reaction or unexpected events are not. Focusing on what you can do and accepting the rest can significantly reduce your anxiety. Think about a situation that's causing you anxiety and apply the dichotomy of control. What's within your reach and what's beyond your control? Share your thoughts in the comments. Another powerful Stoic exercise is negative visualization. Although the name sounds strange, the idea is simple. Consciously imagine possible challenges that might come up. This isn't to feed pessimism, but to prepare mentally and, at the same time, appreciate what you already have. Think, for example, about what you would do if you lost something important at this moment. How would you handle it? By practicing negative visualization, you become more resilient in difficult situations because you've already considered these possibilities before. The Stoics also practiced daily reflection. At the end of each day, they reviewed their thoughts and actions, asking, did I do my best? Did I react to situations with wisdom? Did I keep my focus on what matters? This moment of introspection helps adjust behavior and keep the mind at peace. Many of these Stoic practices echo in modern psychological therapies. Cognitive behavioral therapy, for example, uses the idea of questioning automatic thoughts, something that aligns perfectly with Epictetus's teaching. Similarly, rational emotive behavior therapy also directly derives from Stoic principles, such as challenging irrational beliefs that cause suffering. So, when anxiety shows up, remember, you can't control the traffic, but you can control how you react to it. You can't guarantee everything will go as planned, but you can do your best and accept the outcome. As Seneca, another great Stoic, said, luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity. Preparing for what's within your reach and letting the rest flow to transforming your relationship with anxiety. Now, with Stoicism in mind, let's explore Buddhism and its approach to dealing with anxiety through mindfulness and detachment. Ready for the next step? Buddhism. The power of mindfulness and detachment. What if I told you anxiety is a time machine? It throws you into the future while your body is stuck in the present. Buddhism teaches us that suffering comes from attachment. We want to control the future, avoid pain, and hold on to what makes us happy. But instead of fighting this, we can use mindfulness to return to the now. Paying attention to the simple, like your breath or the sound of the wind, can be the shortest path to escaping anxiety. Let's try this together. Take a deep breath now. Feel the difference? Not yet? Wait until we learn the trick of impermanence. Buddhism is a spiritual and philosophical tradition that has sought to understand human suffering and how to overcome it for over 2,500 years. At the heart of Buddhism are the Four Noble Truths, which help us see anxiety in a new light. The first noble truth states that suffering is a part of life. This might sound discouraging, but the goal isn't to make us pessimistic, it's to help us recognize reality. We all face challenges, losses, and uncertainties, and anxiety is a manifestation of this universal suffering. The second noble truth explains that suffering arises from attachment, the constant desire for things to be different from what they are. When we're anxious, we're often stuck in the desire to control the future or avoid something we fear. What are you currently attached to that might be causing your anxiety? Reflect on this before we continue. This is where the practice of detachment comes in. Buddhism teaches us to see that excessive attachment to results or expectations can be the root of our distress. But how do we put this into practice? The answer lies in mindfulness, one of the central practices of Buddhism. Mindfulness is the ability to be fully present in the moment, without judgment. When we're anxious, our thoughts are often in the future, imagining negative scenarios. The practice of mindfulness invites us to bring our minds back to the here and now. This can be done simply, like paying attention to your breath. For example, try this now. Take a deep breath. Observe the air coming in and out, and notice how this brings your mind back to the present. Close your eyes and focus on your breath for a minute. How do you feel afterward? Share your experience in the comments. In situations of anxiety, the technique of mindfulness can be a powerful antidote. Imagine you're about to enter an important meeting and feel your heart racing. Instead of getting lost in thoughts like, "What if I forget what to say?" Try taking a pause. Focus on your breath. Observe the sensations in your body without trying to change them, and remember that these feelings are temporary. This practice, when repeated, strengthens your ability to deal with anxiety more calmly. In Stoicism, we find clear parallels with cognitive behavioral therapy (CBT). This therapeutic approach is based on the idea that our thoughts influence our emotions and behaviors, exactly as Epictetus taught when he said that it's not things that disturb us, but our interpretation of them. In CBT, we learn to identify and reframe dysfunctional thoughts, something at the heart of Stoic practices of internal control. Acceptance and commitment therapy (ACT), on the other hand, is deeply aligned with Taoist teachings. ACT encourages individuals to accept difficult thoughts and emotions instead of fighting them, and to live a life aligned with their values. This reflects the principle of Wu Wei, not fighting against circumstances, but working with them in a fluid and intentional manner. Another point of connection is positive psychology, which, although a relatively recent field, seeks to build a meaningful and satisfying life rather than just solving problems. This resonates with all the traditions discussed. Stoicism emphasizes aligning with our values and virtue as a source of happiness. Buddhism teaches that freedom from suffering comes from a calm mind and detachment. Taoism guides us to live in harmony with the natural flow of life. All these philosophies, like positive psychology, show us that well-being is an active construction. But how do we bring this into our daily lives? Here are some practical tools that combine these ancient philosophies with modern approaches. Stoicism, internal control exercise. Take a piece of paper and divide it into 2 columns. On one side, write what's under your control. On the other, list what isn't. Focus on the actions in the first column and practice acceptance regarding the second. Do this whenever you feel anxious about something that seems overwhelming. Buddhism. 1-minute mindfulness. Whenever you feel anxious, close your eyes for a minute and focus only on your breath. Notice the air coming in and out without trying to control it. If your thoughts wander, gently bring your attention back to your breath. This simple exercise can bring immediate calm. Taoism. Practicing Wu Wei. Choose a situation from your day where you feel like you're forcing something. It could be a conflict at work or an attempt to control a specific outcome. Ask yourself, what would happen if I just let this flow? Try letting go of control and observe the results. These practices are simple, but consistency is key. Integrating a bit of each philosophy into your routine can transform how you deal with anxiety and other emotional challenges. By combining the approaches of Stoicism, Buddhism, and Taoism, we see that they all guide us toward the same goal: living with more balance, awareness, and serenity. They teach us that, although we can't control the world, we can change our relationship with it and thus find peace. Why not try a bit of each practice? Discover which one resonates most with you and start applying it. As the Stoics say, practice is the foundation of progress. Remember, change doesn't happen all at once, but in small, consistent steps. And now, tell me, which of these practices will you try first? Share your experiences in the comments. Together, we can learn and grow. See you in the next content. By integrating the teachings of Stoicism, Buddhism, and Taoism into our lives, we open the path to a more conscious and balanced approach to anxiety. But more than just philosophies or therapies, these teachings invite us on a journey of self-discovery and personal transformation. Think about how each philosophy contributes to building a solid foundation for facing life's challenges. Stoicism teaches us to cultivate emotional resilience by focusing on what's within our control. It reminds us that we can find strength within ourselves, even when the external world seems chaotic. Buddhism shows us the power of the present moment. By practicing mindfulness and accepting life's impermanence, we learn to let go of the past's weight and future anxiety. Taoism inspires us to find harmony by flowing with circumstances, recognizing that fighting the inevitable only intensifies our suffering. These traditions anticipated, but also laid the groundwork for many modern mental health practices. However, their true beauty lies in the simplicity and universality of their teachings. They remind us that we don't need a perfect life to find peace. Instead, peace is something we build internally, regardless of external circumstances. Integrating these practices into your daily life can be done gradually and accessibly. Here are some final suggestions to help you start your journey. Stoicism. Nightly reflection. Before bed, spend a few minutes reviewing your day. Ask yourself, did I do my best given today's circumstances? Did I react with wisdom to what was out of my control? This practice helps cultivate a mindset of continuous learning and acceptance. Buddhism. Practice of impermanence. Whenever something causes anxiety, remember, this too shall pass. Meditate on the transience of emotions and situations. This can bring a lighter, more realistic perspective on challenges. Taoism. Time in nature. Set aside a weekly moment to connect with nature. Take a leisurely walk. Observe the trees, feel the wind, or simply contemplate the sky. These simple moments reconnect us to the natural flow of life and can be incredibly restorative. Create a personal ritual. Combine elements from the three traditions into a small daily ritual. It could be something like writing a list of what's under your control Stoicism, practicing 5 minutes of conscious breathing Buddhism, and dedicating a moment to reflect on how to flow better with a daily challenge Taoism. As you experiment with these practices, it's natural that some will resonate more than others. The important thing is to allow yourself to explore and adapt the tools to your own lifestyle. Since each of us is unique, the path to finding peace and balance will be too. Remember that ancient philosophies and modern psychology are complementary. Both offer us powerful resources to face anxiety and live more consciously. After all, as Buddha, Lao Tzu, and Marcus Aurelius might agree, true transformation isn't about controlling the world, but about changing how we experience it. And now it's your turn. Which of these practices will you start applying in your daily life? Share your experience and your reflections. Let's continue this conversation together, learning from each other. And remember, inner peace isn't the destination, it's the journey. Throughout this journey, we've explored how Stoicism, Buddhism, and Taoism offer timeless wisdom to face modern challenges, especially anxiety. But this journey doesn't end here. It's actually an invitation for you to start looking within, discover what resonates in your own life, and apply these practices in a way that makes sense for you. Here's a final summary of the lessons we can take with us. From Stoicism, we learn the importance of internal control. We can't change the world around us, but we can transform how we react to it. Focusing on what's within our control gives us power and clarity in the midst of chaos. From Buddhism, we understand the value of the present moment. Being mindful, accepting our emotions, and perceiving the transience of things helps relieve pressure and find tranquility even in tough times. From Taoism, we absorb the wisdom of flowing with life. When we stop fighting against the inevitable and choose to work in harmony with the natural flow of things, we find balance and peace. These lessons show us that while anxiety can feel overwhelming, it's not something immutable or uncontrollable. With the right tools, we can not only face it but also learn from it and grow. No matter where you start, a Stoic practice, a moment of mindfulness, or adopting the Wu Wei mindset, remember to be kind to yourself in this process. Change isn't linear, and personal evolution is made of small, consistent steps. Let this content be a reminder that you're not alone on your journey. Ancient philosophies and modern practices are here to support you, along with a community of people seeking the same answers and transformations. By experimenting with these practices and integrating them into your daily life, you'll begin to see that anxiety isn't the enemy. It can be a signal to rediscover your strength, wisdom, and balance. Be sure that these philosophies don't promise a life without anxiety, but they give us something even more powerful: the ability to transform our relationship with it. Now, the question is, which practice will you try first? Stoicism, Buddhism, or Taoism? Share in the comments, and remember, peace isn't the destination, it's the journey. What can you do today, no matter how small, to get closer to the peace you want to feel? The answer is in your hands, and each choice counts. If you found value in this content, share it with someone who might benefit from these practices. Let's build a community that values self-awareness, wisdom, and growth together. And remember, each day is a new opportunity to learn, grow, and find serenity. Take a deep breath. You've already started your journey. On this journey, we explored how people who embark on the path of self-discovery can transform even the greatest challenges into sources of strength and wisdom. Through Stoicism, Buddhism, and Taoism, we discovered that true inner peace doesn't come from controlling the world around us, but from changing our relationship with it. Now, it's your turn to reflect on your own journey. Think about the obstacles you face and how these teachings could inspire changes in your life. Share your stories or reflections in the comments, and let's create a community of support and mutual learning. If you found value in this content, like, share, and subscribe to the Zen Path channel for more on personal development. And to dive even deeper, download our free ebook, Transforming Challenges into Inner Strength, by clicking the link in the description. To continue exploring this topic, we have 2 recommended videos here on the screen. Click on one of them and deepen your journey of self-discovery even further. See you there.